Good morning and welcome to our morning devotion. This is Pastor Lyn with Goodland United Methodist Church. As we continue with our Breakfast with God, our devotion for today is called The Morning Sacrifice. Their duty was to stand every morning to thank and praise the Lord. 1 Chronicles 23. The Levites were never given the option to skip morning devotions. What about you? They were commanded to keep the morning sacrifice every day without exception. As part of their morning ritual in the temple, the high priest had 3 duties to accomplish. First, to trim the lamps, making sure each oil cup of the menorah had sufficient oil and the wicks were properly positioned. 2, to burn sweet incense on the incense altar. And 3, to burn the fat of the peace offerings. Once a week, as part of the morning ritual, the priest replaced the showbread that was on constant display before the Lord. He performed these functions in silent worship, wearing a highly symbolic vestment. As he worked, the only sound was the light tinkling of the bells on the hem of his garment. Imagine what that was like, to quietly walk into God's sanctuary and be the only one there to hear and feel and smell the breath of God. This ancient ritual may seem strange and of little value for us today, but it does have one great lesson we can draw from it, and that is this. The morning sacrifice involved all of the senses of the mind. The priest stood before the Lord with his identity clearly displayed. He stood before the Lord for examination. His sacrifices touched upon all aspects of his humanity. The lamps symbolized his need for light, the ability to see with spiritual eyes. The incense was a picture of his need to dwell in an atmosphere infused with God's holy presence. The peace offerings were a sign of his need for peace with God and his fellow man. And the showbread demonstrated his need for daily provision, which only God could provide. This was a ceremony that in its silence spoke clearly. We need you. Without you we have no life, no wholeness, no meaning. We may not have a ritual to follow in our morning devotions, but we must come before the Lord with the same spirit of dependency and obedience. The day ahead of us is not our own. Our lives belong to God. After all, everything we need, God will supply. The day is His, even as we belong to Him. So what sacrifice will you give over to the Lord today to make it His? This is Pastor Lyn. Have a great day.